Hello and welcome to the Point to Rise show. This is your host, Suzanne Prochelle, former international ballerina that found her passion in mindset, business, and technology, and is today the founder of Rise Media. It is my purpose to use all the experiences of my past to create a better, financially sustainable future for the performing arts industry. And that starts with every single one of us. I believe that being you is your superpower. And I am here to guide you, empower you, inspire you, and give you all the resources you need to rise above what you think you're capable of. Every week, I'll bring you 3 shows featuring guests, collaboration, and mini episodes to ensure that you have the support in your journey as a performer. I want you to know that you are not alone. Stop chasing and start creating. Your success starts now, here with you. So let's go. Hi guys, welcome back to the show. I have a very, very special treat for you. Before I announce it though, who is going to be our guest today? I wanted to remind you of 2 things. One is if you're interested in learning more how technology, business, and the performing arts are actually fitting together and how they could benefit from each other, go to the risemedia.group website and join our newsletter. It goes out right now, once a week, in less than 7 minutes. You will be informed what happened last week and what you should be looking out for the next week to really, truly set you up for success and maybe cut out a little bit of the, where am I going to look for all of these information and what is really necessary to know and what's up. So today's special guest is Lisa Seery. Now, her zone of genius may just be a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and you may be asking yourself, why is she bringing in a financial expert? Well, let me tell you, because your financial well-being is important, and performing artists have been told that there is no such thing than financial well-being. We are the starving artist industry. And I'm making it a point as often as I can that that is an old belief that we don't have to buy into anymore. Okay, so let me introduce Lisa properly. Lisa is an investing mentor and financial wellness expert for entrepreneurs. She leverages her 18 years in the investment industry and fintech, along with her education as a health coach, and helps women eliminate money stress, gain financial clarity, and feel confident building wealth. She also is very active in the crypto NFT market, and that's something that we are actually talking about today, how that applies to performing arts altogether, how individuals can take advantage of that, and what you could do and on a daily basis to actually just get started to learning more. So without no further ado, I bring you Lisa Seery. And I also encourage you, even though this may be feeling really, really uncomfortable, and all you want to do is turn off, don't come back to this episode, go back and listen again, try to figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, then reach out to either her or me, and we are more than happy to, guide you along the way. Lisa, thank you so much for being here. I have been looking forward to this conversation for such a long time.
Hi, Suzanne. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. I want to use this moment to just amplify the power of community. Okay, so you and I have been never ever together in any kind of the communities, yet we've met through the FFM community that Lori and Chris Harder have built and got connected, even though we've never crossed paths in any of the masterminds that either of us were in. So if that isn't powerful, I don't know what is powerful.
I know, right? I absolutely love the Fast Foundations community. The fact that I have met just so many people that I wouldn't have probably otherwise cross paths with. So yeah, I'm so excited that we did cross paths and we're here now and we get to talk about Web3 and the fact that you're diving right into it with your company. It's just so exciting.
Oh, wow. Well, let's go there right away. I was like, hey, what's your superpower and how did you get into financial planning? Let's start there. And then we're going to pivot into Web3 and what that means and NFTs.
Yeah, sorry to jump the gun.
Love it. It's your show.
Sometimes I do have the habit of getting straight to the point, but no, I love just chatting too. So my superpower is such a good question. I would probably say my superpower is probably just I just have a very optimistic attitude. I can always see the silver lining in any situation. So I do really feel like that is my superpower, because, I'm able to uplift not only myself, but then that has a trickle effect into the world around me. So however I can, help other people as well. And I think that's extremely important with finances too.
Beautiful. So how did you get started in finances?
I got started in finance right after college. I was actually a marketing major in college. I graduated right after 9/11. So it was a difficult economy, and I ended up finding a job working for a financial firm, which I had resistance to because math had never been my thing. I was like, oh, this is not gonna go well, but I actually ended up loving it. And I realized that I was actually really good with numbers. So I pretty much stayed working in finance. My first job was like opening investment accounts, and I found it super exciting. I was very inspired and motivated to make my money work for me and to make my money grow. I then decided to move across the country in my 20s. I moved to California. I quickly moved up the corporate ladder. I stayed working in finance. I worked for asset management firms, found my niche to be in trading. So I mainly worked, I was sitting at a trade desk doing things with stocks in our portfolios all day long. And I found it to be just extremely fun and fitting for my personality, because I liked fast-paced environments and I liked that every day was different. And so I really just developed a passion for the financial markets, and I stayed doing that throughout my career. I invested pretty well for myself, and then I took a break from working for about a year and a half, which was nice in my 30s, just to enjoy life, travel a bit. And that was great. And then I was missing that fast-paced environment again. And so I decided to get back in, but I got back into financial technology. And I found that to be fascinating, working for a firm that was really innovative, where I could utilize my skills in trading and into the financial markets, and then also like bring together financial technology and how trading platforms work, and how to make trading platforms even better in supporting our clients. And so that's how I wrapped up my career. And now I get to help women with their finances and feel good building wealth. So that is what I do, and that's what I love.
Okay, there's so much I can hardly keep up. So when we're talking about investing, there is a whole camp that thinks investing isn't for them, right? Mm-hmm. Because we see, the Ray Dalios or anybody that has made it big in the stock market. These are not women, and B, we think this isn't something we can do. How did you get through that belief, first of all? And what are your counter arguments to that statement that I just made?
Yeah, that's such a great perspective. And I absolutely agree. I think that investing has traditionally had a masculine tone to it, right? Which makes it sound really intimidating and not really a conversation for women to be a part of. But I think a lot of that is just noise, and they like to make it sound unnecessarily complicated. And it's really not that complex. And we've come such a long way, even from when I first started investing to where we are today, where it's so accessible and it's easy, and you don't have to be, have like a Harvard MBA to be a good investor. The way that I overcame that is, I think that I never really had a fear of it. And I think my dad in particular did a great job at that, because he was more focused on investing in real estate. So I always saw how beneficial investing could be. And so from a young age, and then starting in finance right out of college, I just believed that it was possible for me. I didn't really like buy into the outside noise. And so for me, it was just like, okay, I'm just going to make my money work for me. And then when I got into, working in trading and things like that, I was constantly having conversations with men about investing, because I found that even where I worked, women didn't necessarily have those conversations as much as the men did. And I was like, why is this? And then even amongst, like, in my personal life, my friends, if I was talking about investing, it was with my male friends and not with my girlfriend. So I did notice that. And that's part of the reason why I like to inspire and just empower women to be investing, because it really isn't that difficult. And it's just more noise than anything else, that it's complicated, because it can really be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be.
Ooh, yeah. Two things. First, I wanted to point out that you were told that you're not good in math, and yet you chose a career that's all about numbers. So I want to say that whatever bucket anybody puts us in, it doesn't matter. We get to put down those sides of the carton, right? We get to decide what we want to be great at and, what not, really, truly. And then you mentioned the fear of investing. What does it really come down to? Because it's not the fear of investing. There is a deeper fear to it. What is that fear?
Yeah. And I think it comes down to two things. It comes down to your relationship with money is part of it, and you feeling worthy of building wealth. That is absolutely one thing. And then the second thing is fear of making a mistake with investing, just because lack of knowledge, right? So those are the two big things and the two big themes that I normally see. And it's overcoming those things. So if we don't feel worthy of building wealth, or hearing the word rich or something like that, like, makes you cringe, why is that? And so I think you have to really have awareness around that, and then look to how you were raised, because the things that we heard about money before the age of 8 were really, like, imprinted in our brains, right? And so the thoughts that we have, is that truly your thought, or did you just learn that to be true? So really, like, exploring that so you can heal your relationship with money and feel more worthy of it is absolutely, absolutely huge.
Yeah, I think so. From personal experience, for me, it's not only what I established in my subconscious until the age of 7 or 8, is also what society has told us in terms of when I talk about performing arts, and, you just can't make money. So it is an entire economy perpetuating that belief over and over and over again, because we're not making these decisions. I never thought that I would not be able to make money until I came to North America and was confronted with, like, a $450 a week contract for 32 weeks out of the year. It's like, what just happened? And it's either being okay with it and basically settling for these kind of beliefs, or it's saying, hey, this is not how I want to spend my life, and versus finding the real job. What other ways are there? Which leads me actually into, so there's this phenomenon that has popped out over the past, I know, probably 10 years, but we're really, as a whole, as a society, we're starting to tap into it more. We're reading more about it, and that's NFT, decentralization, crypto, all of this. So I want to start with, why did you get into it?
Yeah. So the reason that I got into it was more that I could not ignore it anymore, because really it just kept popping up for me. And so I've always traditionally been a stock market investor. And then I was like, NFTs just really seem like this fun outlet, like this creative outlet and different way of investing. And I I was like, they're too good to be true that, 15-year-olds are sitting at the back of class and making, like more than their teacher per year trading NFTs. And I was like, that's not a real thing. And so I kept resisting it, but yet they kept like showing up for me. And I was like, okay, universe, I see you. Let me explore this further. And now I had been investing into crypto for about 8 or 9 months before I started really researching NFTs. But that was also like in the back of my mind, I was like, this is an aspirational asset. Like it's not tangible. Like stocks are tangible, they have a real value. But crypto and NFTs, it's more like, are these going to go away? Like these are digital assets. And it wasn't until I started seeing more institutional adoption and companies looking to make their footprint with NFTs that I was like, okay, I am here now and I'm listening, right? I can't avoid this anymore. And really the part of me that also loves financial technology loves this side of investing too. So I just naturally have like a curiosity about it. And so I started really researching NFTs and I was like, wow, this is fascinating. And I was like, you know what? It's a high risk asset to invest in. First of all, that's really important to know with NFTs, same thing with crypto, but even more so with NFTs. So anything that you're, usually investing or in putting money into NFTs, that's like more play money, right? Because very high risk, you could lose it. And so I was like, I'm just going to put some money into NFTs and see where it goes. And so this was late 2021. And I was like, I'm having a blast. And there was just so much hype and momentum in the market that I was like, wow, it's actually pretty simple to make money with NFTs and to have fun doing it. And I just thought it was like such a creative outlet. And I'm like, more people need to know that this is an option. And I really also thought of it as a way for women to be like almost like a way to get into investing if they hadn't already been investing, to like take a lot of the intimidation out of it, to see and say like, oh wow, this is fun. Investing can be fun, because that's really part of just my mission with investing, is to make it simple and fun and know that it doesn't have to be complicated. And NFTs really like fit the bill for that.
And let me add to that what that actually means for the arts community, right? Because to this point, arts, performing arts, anything that was creatively produced did not have at all times a tangible value, right? It was just that one painting that went to that one customer and that was it. And there was no reoccurring value. And now we're actually able to put value, like monetary value, not only on paintings and pictures, but on music, on choreography, on videos, on dance. Anything that has been creatively made now can have value in form of a non-fungible token. And I think that is the biggest gift for the entire arts community, because it all of a sudden puts them into a way more powerful position, financially, particularly.
Yes, exactly. You're right on the money, especially for creators and for artists, because we've never had like this opportunity before, because NFTs are unique digital assets with verifiable ownership via blockchain technology. It just opens the doors to all of these opportunities, because NFTs now have these like underlying utility. And I think when NFTs first began, people were trading like profile pictures, right? Like JPEGs. And really now NFTs have evolved so much already into what you mentioned, especially for artists. And we're still just so new. Like this is, it's such like an emerging technology that they're only going to expand and evolve exponentially. And that's really sometimes difficult to conceptualize right now, because we we're just going along with it right now. And so there are so many different arenas with NFTs, like you said, from art to music. An NFT can also be like a game, a PDF, or like a tweet on Twitter. So really the opportunities are endless.
Beautifully said. Okay, let's back up. Can you help us understand what the term utility means when we're talking about NFTs?
Yes. So say you are the creator of an NFT project. So for your community, for artists. So say you have, say you want to sell tickets to an event that you have, maybe you have, like you're an artist, but then you're an artist that's also presenting something live, and you want tickets to that event. So not only do you have the NFT that may be the piece of artwork itself, you also have the utility for that NFT that also gives value to the collector, that they'll also get access to. They could be virtual events, they could be in real life events. So those are two unique utilities. Say you also want to send something to someone that owns your NFT, like something physical that they have, they can also receive whatever you decide to be that physical ownership, whether it be like a playbill or something of that nature. So each of those things would be considered utilities. So it's not just the NFT itself, but the collector can stack utility into it however they want to. And so that's what's meant by utility, is that there's actual like different forms of ways to utilize that NFT, and the owners have different benefits from owning the NFT.
So utility then, and I'm saying that in my very humbly, easy, very plain words, is basically a buy-in. Like it's not just the picture or the piece of art that you're receiving, but it's access to something, meaning a community, an event, a show, whatever that means. And that NFT becomes tradable, meaning that you not only have access to a community, but you also have the possibility to make money off of whatever you bought.
Exactly.
Like the utility itself as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because you're the actual owner of that NFT. So when you decide, like, if you want to sell that NFT, you can do that because you own it. And that also has that monetary value.
So I heard Gary Vaynerchuk, if nobody knows who he is, please go check him out. He's under Gary V on Instagram. He recently, like 6 months ago, basically put all of his characters, his doodles, into an NFT project. And he now only gives tickets away to his events, which are usually huge. It's super hard to get access to these events, right? But if you own an NFT, you get the free ticket. So that's the utility that is attached to his community that he has built over all of these years. And I think it's almost priceless. You can't really put, in my opinion, a dollar figure behind that to being part of a community like that. Because it's not only, being surrounded by like-minded people, but also what does it actually mean for you further down the road? Who are you going to meet? Who can you collaborate with? Who can you learn from? All of these possibilities are really in this kind of market, and I really want to make a point here and to point that out. It's not just a tradable item. There is so much more behind that opens up so many more possibilities. And I think it's actually going to be the future of community building. Like, I truly believe that the Facebook community that everybody is still leaning in and advertising so strongly is very soon going to be replaced by NFT projects and the communities that are attached to it. If we're looking at the gaming industry, right, they have had figured that out 10 years ago. Like, my children are educating me right now on Discord communities, how it works. Like, I am so I'm so scared to learn this. And yet I know I should, and I need to, and I want to, and yet there's resistance to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do
I
you
think
think? Like, am I on the right thinking track, or right or not? It doesn't matter, but does it align with what you think?
yes, absolutely, 100%. And I think we're seeing these major brands making their footprint in the space because they also see that. So, I mean, even it was in the past week, Instagram was saying that NFTs are coming to their platform and they're beta testing it right now. Also, Spotify, which is a music platform, they just announced that musical artists can now share NFTs through Spotify. So we're making our way there, right? We're seeing it like throughout like various industries, whether it be like music or media. Like you said, Gary Vee has his big conference every year. He actually just had his event last weekend called VCon, and you had to buy the NFT in order to have access to that event. I was really jealous that I actually didn't go this year. So Suzanne, we can go next year.
We are so going next year, girl. Like, that's not even, it's non-negotiable.
Yes. So, but yeah, I do think that NFTs will be like integrated with social media and will probably eventually replace social media. Well, or at least it will be moved onto the blockchain, and NFTs will really be integrated into that, because NFTs are really just a way, it's like, if you think about blockchain technology, it's just a record keeping system, and it's just a smart way to keep track of transactions, and so that everything is very transparent. And then NFTs are like the layer on top of blockchain technology where that really brings the community together. And like you said, Discord is a really big place for people in NFTs, in a cryptocurrency, and it's a social platform where people communicate back and forth. So I think it's really just such a beautiful space. And I always say that, with NFTs, it's like, I love the people who are in NFTs and Web3, because it's just like such a positive and supportive space. And so I think, on more than anything else, it's about the community and it's about supporting one another, and it's absolutely the future.
While you're saying that, which I 1000% agree with, that community is such an essential part of any kind of business, really. Isn't that something that 2020 really shone a light on and brought us back to as individuals, that we do need community more than anything?
Yes. Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that. I actually just got back from, being on a retreat, and I was like, virtually is great too. Being together in person is amazing. We need community, and we need other people, where human beings aren't meant to exist like just staying in our homes like solo, right? We need that.
We need that. Oh, wow. Okay.
Sure.
Let's pivot just a tiny bit. Now, I have a personal interest question. Tokens. Let's talk about tokens. What do they symbolize? And if you don't know the answer, we can totally pivot. Like, I'm so open to this. I'm just so thrilled to have this conversation. What are tokens? Yeah, let's start there.
So tokens are basically cryptocurrency, and NFTs can have a component to their utility in which the creators decide to reward their community with tokens. So whether those tokens have value or not, whether those tokens are actually have liquidity and are traded on a cryptocurrency exchange is a different story, right? So it's more like a reward system for NFT holders. And I really think that a lot of people are bringing tokenomics into NFTs, but it's still so new. And if they do have value, it's extremely volatile, like with cryptocurrency and with NFTs. But because I want to try and figure out how to say this as simply as possible, because the market cap of many, which means the value that the crypto community values that token as, because many of them are so small, just like the stock market. The smaller the company, the more volatile that price can be. So I think we still have a long way to go with tokenomics. We've seen that with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is one of the largest NFTs and ecosystems for NFTs out there, that is owned by Yuga Labs. They now have their own ape token. So APE is their token, and today's value of that token is between $7 or $8. About a month ago, the value of that token was about $24. So it can move in price quite a bit, but it's something that creators of NFT projects can have for their community. Does that answer your question? I know it's a bit complex.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. It does answer my question. Thank you. So then the value of a token depends on, how it's, help me out here. Bear with me, everybody. How often it is traded, or how is the market altogether doing, and or what other things?
Yeah. So it depends on the liquidity pool that really both the market and holders of the token create, as well as the creators. So it has just this price movement that can be like all over the place, and it is dependent a lot upon how many coins are issued, whether there's a cap on how many coins that are issued. And so it's dependent on a lot of those factors. And just as an example, so if you owned a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, what that team did was they actually rewarded their holders, and they did an airdrop, and I believe everyone got around 10,000 ape tokens. And so you can imagine, like, at the time that each one of those had a $20 value, that was a huge just gift to their community. And I do think that with NFTs, we may see like the ape token. I mean, a lot of it's speculation, but that token could be like a standout token in the NFT ecosystem itself, just because the Bored Ape project and team is one of the best in the space. And it's definitely the largest market cap coin in the space.
I think a few months ago, their like yearly plan leaked on TikTok, and it was incredible to see, what their deck looked like in terms of planning the next, I think, 5 launches and their revenue, their potential revenue. And I think it was Seth Rogen commenting on it, saying like, oh, that's a really low estimation. And we were talking about 70, 80 million per project. So I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Got it. There was a question I wanted to ask you, darn it. Liquidity pool. I think I'm going to ask you that offline, because that for anybody and everybody that is just hearing about cryptocurrency, tokens, and NFTs for the first time, that is too overwhelming. So I'm going to put a pin in that.
I would agree. Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about the dip that we're seeing in the market. What this reset that we are experiencing now, that we're just starting to, I think, see the tip of the iceberg from. Again, there's camps out there, right? The ones that are removing all of their assets because they're so scared of losing it all, versus actually seeing what the opportunity could be in heading into a bear market. Do you want to, can you go into it a little bit? Because there's so much fear around a recession, and then, maybe even understanding that this is a normal occasion. This is something that we've been waiting for what, 5-6 years, if not more, because 2008 was the last real reset that we've seen. And if I'm not correct, please correct me. Yes,
no, you're right. The last big recession that we had, aside 2020, was a fairly short recession. Obviously caused by COVID, right? So that was different, and we bounced right back. But the financial markets move in cycles, and so it's very healthy for financial markets to have a pullback. And there are usually 4 times as many up years in financial markets and then, every 4 year, every like 4 times as many up years. And then in a cycle, then we may have like a year where things reset and the market pulls back. And so if the stock market, if any financial market just kept going up, right, it would just create like a huge bubble. So it's healthy to pull back. The reason why we're pulling back right now is because, we've had this huge period of, 10 plus years of the market primarily being in a bull market and going straight up, right? So this is expected that this would happen. Also, we have greater macroeconomic things contributing to it. There's a war in Russia and the Ukraine that's going on right now. There's also ridiculously high inflation. And so when those things combine, that also creates fear in financial markets. And so people look to put their money into safer haven assets because they get scared. But as someone who was an investor in 2008, I was working in trading then. I started investing heavily right before 2008. You just have to realize that bear markets are just temporary. The average bear market lasts about 13 months. And so if you think of it like this, say you're driving down a road, you're in the car, you're driving, and you get to a U-turn. And so you can feel like you're on the longest road until you get to the U-turn, right? And it's like never ending. But once you get to the U-turn, you're like, oh, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not just on this road to nowhere. So similarly with a bear market, it feels uncomfortable while you're in it, but you just have to really zoom out, know that bear markets happen, recessions happen, and things will eventually turn around. There are just these greater economic things that are happening. And, we do have to be aware of those things, but we can't really predict what the market's going to do. It's just recognizing that so many things are on sale right now, whether it be stocks or cryptocurrency, NFTs. It doesn't take away from the fact that there are amazing companies whose stock prices are just lower. There are amazing NFT projects that, right now their prices are just lower. The same with cryptocurrency. So it is an opportunity to be looking at these things and to say, okay, it's still a really great company. It's still an NFT that I really like. And, just looking for an entry point that interests you. But yeah, there are tons of opportunities. And having been an investor in 2008, that's really how I really got ahead with wealth, was that when it seemed scary, I still kept investing. And after any bear market is where you can really explode your wealth, because things just like eventually shoot back up again and you're buying at lower prices. And so you benefit from that.
There are always two sides of the medallion, right? Like it just depends on what we're choosing to look at. And I have to admit that I think till 4 years ago, I was always scared of the recession. And I heard the word, I was like, oh, it's going to be a tough time, where I don't see it that way anymore. I see it as a great opportunity to get started in investing. I see it as a great opportunity for many businesses actually to get started, for evolution to happening, because how does Tony say that? Tough times create tough people and great ideas, because we're forced to think differently. We're outside of our comfort zone, and it really truly creates and propels motion forward. Like if you look at, well, let's take doTERRA, for example, a company that I love. They were founded in 2008, and they have, grown faster than Apple did. They have outgrown their yearly revenue above Apple in the first 5 years, and they launched during a recession, for example. And there are many more examples like this out there. Like I read on Twitter every day, do you think it's smart to start a company in an upcoming recession? I'm like, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because we are so much more forced to think outside of the box. Like, how else can we make this happen if our natural resources, the things that we would go to at any given point that feel comfortable, if they're not available right now? It's like, what other ways can we find? What other questions can we ask? Which leads me to the performing arts. When organizations are depending on raising money on a year over year over year over year basis, okay, what could a recession or the rise of interest rates or all of the obstacles that are like economically in our way right now actually mean for these nonprofit organizations that only survive when other people give them money, not invest money into them, but give them money?
When they give them money,
depending on receiving donations.
Yeah. So in times of economic uncertainty, people are just a little bit more reserved with donations. You know, there's also the rising interest rates that happen in like a loan perspective. So, you know, overall during an economic slowdown, there just can be a restraint on, you know, the amount of resources available from, I would say, like traditional, you know, whether it be, I mean, if we're thinking about donors, like every donor would be different, right? If we're thinking about financial institutions, obviously that's different too. So it really depends. But yeah, I mean, that would be the scenario that I think of. But I also think that if you are creative in raising money, that those opportunities still can be there. And like you said, I think it's a really beautiful perspective that you're just forced to think differently in this type of environment, which is great for your company's growth, your personal growth, because, you know, we can get into like more of a herd mentality sometimes when things are going well. It's just like everything's going well, you're just going about your day. But when things are a bit more challenging, it's like, okay, well, what outside the box thing can I do to bring in the money I need? Or what additional thing can I do? Like, do I need to pick, you know, another side hustle or think of another source of income that I can bring in to my business as well?
Love that. Let's pivot just a wee bit. When we're looking at the rise of entrepreneurs out there, the rise of coaches that have really come into the economy since 2020, and when we're looking at how the roadmap is on how you build your business, do you think that like NFT and building the communities around NFT is a potential for these kind of solopreneurs?
When it comes to, I guess it would, are you talking about like a specific industry or just for any entrepreneur across industries?
Okay, let me reframe. When I look at our communities that we're in, that if we're looking at the FFM community, for example, mostly coaches, right? Like in any different way, building community, having established communities. What we used to do in order to build our community and keep them happy is have a Facebook group where we put our training in. We use them as a funnel to sell our coaching to, okay? So, but what if, and is there a potential or a path to create a more win-win kind of community where you could have executive content perhaps, or artwork, whatever that might be, in form of an NFT to maybe then, you know, build your business in a more decentralized way and move away from like the Web 2 Facebooks, wherever you are housing and hosting your community. Does that make more sense?
Yes, that makes more sense. So I have seen this a lot when it comes to, like, there are a lot of YouTubers who have, they do offer, like, you purchase their NFTs and it gives you access to different things within their NFT itself, whether it be like their articles that they're releasing, whether it be early access to other NFT projects, or just like really like a more elite group to be a part. So we've seen that happen in the NFT space. There are a few projects that I'm familiar with. One of them is definitely a more elite group where, you know, people pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be part of that community. And that was started by venture capitalists, that one. So that does exist already. And in terms of coaches moving into that space, I really think you just have to give thought to how you'd want to structure it. So whether you have a program that you offered that was attached to an NFT, that would also give people access to your community. So if someone then owned that NFT, then they could sell it to someone else. So I think it depends on who basically you want to be bringing into your programs and things like that, whether you want it to be just that anyone can come in, right? Because anyone would have access to buy that NFT. So I think that we're very new to that, and you would just have to really think through how you'd want to structure that in your business.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, hang on, who is your ideal client? How can these ideal clients actually work with you? And third question in one question is, like, even if you're on the fence and thinking, is this for me? Is this not for you? For me, what could like move them into this is for me kind of mindset shift option that you can give?
Yeah. So my ideal client, the people that I work with most are entrepreneur women, and I support them in feeling good about building wealth. And I focus a lot on digital assets and, diversifying with investing into digital assets. And so the second part of your question, when you said, what was that second part? I'm not exactly sure that I caught that.
Great question. I don't remember. So don't worry about it. Oh yeah. What are your offers? What are you offering right now?
Oh, okay.
People actually work with you.
Oh, how can they work with me? Yeah. So
40 is so much fun.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So people can work with me in a couple ways. So I do have one-on-one clients. So I offer mentorship in that way. I have an NFT program that I'm turning into a self-paced course, and that will be back in about 1 month's time. And then I'm just always running various group programs. And so if it's something, you could see if there's something that interests you in one of the group programs that I'm running that are coming up. And most of those are focused, excuse me, on building wealth in various ways. So yeah, those are the ways to work with me. And yeah, I think NFTs and the digital economy is just such an exciting space, and it's only going to keep growing and keep evolving. And, we're just in a period of time right now where everything is so new, and it's definitely the time to be exploring it because, blockchain technology is not going away.
No, it's not. No, as much as people may say, this is just temporary. I'm assuming these same people or their children were the ones talking about like that, about the internet, in the late 90s. Nobody's going to do it. That is not going to stay. We don't need this. I dare you differ. So, last question. If with everything you know today, you would be able to talk to your 16-year-old self, and let's assume she would actually sit down, like she would be not running away, throwing a tantrum, whatever, hit you over the head. She would actually listen. What would you tell her?
Oh, it's such a good question. My 16-year-old self, I would tell her to always think about different perspectives. I think we're fed a lot of information that tries to keep us small. And so I think there's just always an opportunity to question kind of the narratives that we're told, and to just always to question things in order to live your truest expression of yourself. And so I think it's an important thing to just question things and to always stay curious and to explore more than anything else.
I think stay curious. This is what I take out from it. We weren't when I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to stay curious because we had to know it all by the time we were 18. We had to be done with whatever done was meant to be. So I think that is such a beautiful message. Stay curious, altogether. regardless where you're at in your life, you know, you can still be a curious 65-year-old that will keep you even longer happy and young and alive.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Lisa, thank you. Thank you for being here. Like this, I could do this for hours. I'm gonna pick your brain after this anyway. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for empowering women, particularly to step outside of what we thought we were meant to be and increasing the knowledge.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was such a fun conversation. And yeah, I really appreciate just being able to chat with you. And I'm excited for your community just to keep exploring blockchain technology because it's going to be so powerful.
Thank you. And as always, you know, please share whatever was your biggest takeaway today on Instagram. You can find in the show notes everything you need to know about Lisa. Please go follow her, take advantage of her offerings and lean in. I think that's my biggest call to action for everyone listening today. Lean in. I know that these kind of conversations are uncomfortable because you may have been told that money is not something you need to worry about because you're a starving artist and you can just go stay starved. And yet that's a choice. And you break that habitual thinking by listening to conversations like that, by you don't even, if you don't want to pay for anything, go check out her Instagram because there's so much wisdom in there. I dare you to make a difference by just starting. And that's how we all start, right? Like leaning into the resistance and understanding that that resistance is just an emotion that will pass the more it becomes familiar. Well, we're sending you so much love, guys. Thanks for being here. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.